Got up. First thing on my mind, coffee.
Damn.
Yep.
That's respectable.
Got up with the light. It's probably 7:30, 8 o'clock.
You got all the drums done in the first day, though, didn't you?
Yeah. I honestly wasn't even paying attention to the mics. I was letting Zach, he takes care of all that, and I trusted him, and I just cared about being comfortable with, my drum setup. Yeah. And that was it. I'd let him do the mics, and well, I kind of just check it over and make sure I'm not gonna hit one of the mics with my sticks. I don't think much. Like, if I start overthinking, I just start to worry. So
Zach did a great job capturing your drums, though. They sound really good.
Dude,
the room sounds awesome there too at Earth Analog.
It was awesome. It was smooth, easy. It's hard to put into words. Yeah, just get in the zone.
Part by part.
I push all that what you're talking about to. I don't put that in my mind, because in the past that has happened, and I get that daunting feeling. But this time around, I cared about making sure my drums sounded good and were like tuned up right. Making sure my hi-hats were
even
set the way I wanted to. I just hit the things and make sure it sounds good to my ears, and I'm like, okay, it's good. It's gonna be fine. But a big thing is being prepared and practiced up, and we had enough practice beforehand to, be ready for it. I spent hours and hours just going over the drum parts and listening to the demos every day, and I'm like, okay, I already know all these songs really, really well. At that point, it's like, man, I'm almost tired of these songs already before I even record them. That's like the main thing. It's like, once I have that, relax. I was just trying to listen, making sure, taking note of any like wrong hits.
It is kind of weird though, like going into it only hearing the drums at first and the demo stuff, and then having to construct the rest of the sounds around that. That's always been weird for me, because like stuff doesn't always sound like you expect it to.
Yeah.
Right. So in my head, I told you I already know every one of my parts, like, so I know what's wrong. If anything is wrong, it stands out to me. So I'm listening for that. And another big thing is the spacing. Am I tight? Like, it's making sure there wasn't any sloppiness, That's it. Just a steady playing. Spacing was good. And, to the click. And does it feel good?
All right, day 2 is camp.
It sounded awesome, and Zach was awesome with helping me find like awesome tones and shit. Sounded even better than I thought it would sound going into it. But yeah, it was awesome.
You tracked some shit that, like you said, you didn't think you could do, or that you would write, I guess.
Yeah, there was a few things that I thought would take more than one take, and only took like one take. And I don't know, I started 7, 8, it was like 9 probably.
You got a whole
Night
song done
one.
the first night.
Oh, on night 1.
Yeah, I got one song done night 1, and then finished the rest by like 2?
Yeah.
The next day.
Yeah,
it was early for sure.
Right, he knew how we
Yeah.
wanted to sound before we even told him how we wanted to sound, pretty much. Like, we'd have an idea in our head, and then he'd be like doing that while we were thinking it.
Oh, yeah.
Before he even said it.
And that was how it was with drums, and why it like just flew by, was because
It's a great workflow.
yeah, Zach made it so smooth. He knows what he's doing.
That place was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
slept
it was
fine.
awesome.
They had a
Slept
whole
good.
they had a whole apartment. There was 5 of us sleeping up there, and it was comfortable.
5, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice.
Chill.
Trains every now and then.
It was
Wake
it was
you
very
up.
Oh yeah, that
it
was
was
the one thing.
I
First
never
couple
woke
nights,
up.
gotta get used to the train like 50 feet away. The crossing's right there. The blaring horn.
It was a vibe.
But by night 3, it was fine. I got used to it.
Matt, who owns the studio, Matt from Hum, wink wink, he's awesome. He was a great host.
Yeah.
Super kind, and
Oh yeah. Sweetest guy.
For sure. He had a piano recital the one morning. Hope it went good.
Ours took like 3 days.
Yeah, but
Well,
but to be fair, we quad tracked everything. So me and Rogan both did a left and right.
There was a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
was-
tone chasing
It was
too.
jazz, man.
Yeah, Rogan spent all of the time. All the money on the record was chasing
Shit.
Rogan's guitar tone. The
many
guitars
hours
were,
we were
were
skating.
awesome because it was kind of like the first time we ever had a true like studio experience where we had all the guitars out mic'd in the live room and it was completely isolated from hearing the monitors. So it was kind of strange because like there's some stuff like your parts particularly where like every pedal was on and you played through everything, but like since it's in like a mic'd like setting, it was really cool to like have some gnarly tones but hearing it isolated.
Yeah.
And like you can actually dial shit in.
And you knew exactly how it was going to sound in the end too. As you know, before where you're in the same room as the amp, and you know, like after an hour of just getting like blasted with the sound, you kind of lose track of where you're at. And at least like in this case, you know, you could stand to record for hours and hours and tone chase for hours, and you know, you knew how it was going to sound in the end, and that was awesome.
Which again, Zach was awesome with helping us find
Oh, yeah.
guitar tones.
Yeah, that's what was sweet is like in the past, you know, we only have so much time to get a bunch of songs done, where here we had a little more time, and you like had the opportunity to spend hours chasing like one tone for one part, and Zach wanted to do that too.
Which
know?
we're not used to. We've never
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah. So it was cool to spend more than like a half hour on something, and even
And-
if we didn't use it in the end, like it was still cool to have that.
That's where it starts getting spicy. But guitars took like 3 days. It was a lot. I used pretty much like 5 different sounds this whole record, which is weird for me because like usually I have like 5 different gain tones and all this other stuff. But I guess this time I only had like a couple sounds I really needed. And
I think
yeah.
like Harley said, like we already had shit figured out before we went in. Like
Oh,
we
yeah,
kind of knew what we wanted to do.
I had a whole thing of notes in my phone just of like what pedal I wanted to use for what part and
Yeah.
shit like that.
No, I don't think they were rough. It just
We were
like
pretty
there were
meticulous.
parts that just could have been like there were edgier parts that you could smooth out, you know, and vice versa,
Yeah.
where it was like something could be
a lot of it.
spikier. Or,
Yeah.
A lot of it for me was just like some things I thought would translate very easily in like the full like mic setup didn't, and then
Yeah.
other things were like way easier than I expected.
Definitely.
Like my solos, I tracked those both in less than 30 minutes for all the songs.
What a badass.
And they just
But
worked out.
like a couple of the easiest rhythm parts I couldn't fucking play. It's just weird hearing it under a microscope,
Yeah,
but it was like
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice to spend that much time like digging into that.
for sure.
The last day, didn't we finish guitars?
I think
In the
No, it
morning.
wasn't last day.
no, we had guitars done
On 4
at night, and then
or
Oh yeah,
Because-
night
because-
4.
5.
Because
No,
we were
it
gonna
was
do
4.
synth, but
Four.
but I was too tired.
because and then day 5 was synth, auxiliary,
Yeah,
and
yep.
vocals, and we just fucking busted
Yeah.
them.
I'm really happy with how the synth turned out on it. A lot of it was just like, you know, the straight patches, but that section where I had 3 amps and the synth running through it and shit, that was super fun. Got a really cool sound.
Sounds awesome.
And the auxiliary stuff was like, that's where it got crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Definitely
That shit
added
made
a lot of texture.
yeah, that shit made some of those songs.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna hear some pizza
must.
box on there, here and there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got pizza boxes,
Yeah.
a lot of
Give it
whistling.
away.
Yeah, don't give away the secret.
Well,
Definitely.
that's what's
Yeah.
cool about having like being able to work with the record label and have a budget is we got to just like pick somebody we liked, but luckily he was like interested enough to like do it with us. And but that's kind of like the thing about working on a record is like you think it's just you guys, but like if you're trying to be like really into it, like it's nice to have a producer who's also like putting the effort into making it sound something unique. So like it's kind of like a unspoken thing that people don't realize a lot, that like the producer is like half the sound you get.
Definitely.
And Zach was awesome about that.
Yeah, we couldn't ask for a better engineer for sure. Honestly. Sweet personality, you know, like you said, wanted us to sound good, wanted his, work to sound good, cared about his work.
He was
It
also
wasn't just dicking off, you know.
he was also
Yeah.
very open to like any questions about any random shit we had
Oh yeah.
about his like career, like people he knows and stuff like that, work he did.
Yeah. He gave us the space when we needed it. And I mean, he could just bullshit with us too. That was cool. Shout
Triptych.
out
Triptych, yeah,
from,
Triptych.
Savoy,
Triptych was cool.
Brewing.
Savoy, Illinois.
Shout out Alex Manfredo for bringing the Triptych and
Cookies.
which we forgot to mention in the past.
She was a real.
Yeah.
That was a big morale booster
Yeah.
for me. She
That
was
was
cool,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah. Well, I think for like day one was the hardest part. Like just getting in the flow for day one
I
was
think
hard.
you had a little bit harder of a time like getting your sounds right because like once I had a sound for me, it's like all right, I
Seemed
know
like it
where I
just
want
went.
this over the whole record. Whereas like I think you did a lot more of the lead stuff this time, so you had more of the textured sounds.
Yeah, there was one lead in Pearl where
Oh.
we spent 4 hours searching for a tone on that, and in the
I
end
took
we
a
were
nap.
just like, let's go back to what we started with, and we're like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And it just worked that way.
You got to.
I didn't realize
it'd be
you
a
guys
shame
just
if,
like went. I went to took a nap.
yeah, it'd be a shame if we
I
didn't
was in
try
there
it,
for
like
2.5 to 3 hours.
I was playing
Just
Civilization
Listening to the
6 at
same
time.
fucking lead over and over.
I was probably on RuneScape.
But it's like, that wasn't just me that was like, you know, this has to sound this way. Like, Zach is also like, no, we should keep fucking with this. We should keep
Yeah.
tuning in,
He was-
checking out what we can do with
I
it.
did
Yeah.
like that about him too. Is he didn't settle for something for what
Yeah.
we tried to.
Yeah.
Right, that's kind of what I meant. He cared about his work as much as we cared about it as our work. If that makes sense.
Day 4 was all guitars.
Wrapping up guitars.
I think I was done
I was just
at like 6 or 7 the second day.
Yeah. And then
When was synth before percussion or after?
Synth was after.
yeah, we did
Okay,
auxiliary
so-
first.
Yeah, so guitars ended in the evening on day 4, and then
Picked
I
up
think
day 5.
we started.
Oh, that's right.
We
yeah.
started percussion
on day 4.
on, yeah,
The
at
night.
night. Yeah.
Percussion was like I'm glad we went as crazy as we did, or like we spent the time like
Yeah.
seeing what stuff sounds good all over random parts and
filling in the space.
Oh yeah, you just
like I
let
said,
me play, you know.
like on Towpath,
Play around.
that song like that the percussion on there like adds like a whole nother layer of texture to that song that I didn't really like hear in my head before. And then we
Yeah.
did the shit like in Fool where we did like all three of us doing like random
Fool.
ambient shit together.
Oh, you mean Pearl?
Yeah,
Pearl.
an iridescent pearl on dark velvet.
But yeah, the big drone section there, we got to just space out and do, you know, like a bunch of huge takes
And
all
Zach
together.
yeah,
again
that
was
part was
also
nuts.
super stoked to do that.
It was
too.
basically
Oh, yeah.
Echoes by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the dark.
Yeah.
We
In the
had
dark.
like yeah,
In the
we had
dark.
talked about doing something ambient. But we never
Never talked about how
we
we
never
were gonna
practiced it. We
No.
never said, "Oh, I'm gonna do this here." Like we just kind of were like,
No.
Do it.
Yeah,
We'll
that
Go
was-
out
said
there and
no
we're just
plans.
gonna
That
play
was
it.
the
Yeah.
only part where we all recorded guitars and bass together.
Yeah.
And just feeling that in your fucking nuts, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, just letting it take you.
which again, the percussion in that spot is where it gets real fun.
3 layers of that too. 3 takes. Just overlapped. And
Whistling,
again,
buzzing.
Of auxiliary, you mean?
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
the whistling shit. That was
And I had no plan either. I had no like set ideas for it. I just had all the shit on the floor, and I was like thinking on the spot, like
The only thing.
what might sound good.
for that part for me too. Like I just on like the last second before he went in the room is when I thought of doing the thing with the YouTube video, and I was kind of surprised at how fucking cool that turned out. Like looping it and distorting it and shit.
Yeah.
Major Briggs, Twin Peaks.
Any
Yeah,
don't you double tap back?
Well, yeah.
10
So like
seconds?
you know, YouTube has that 10-second like skip back thing. So all I did, which I never like I've fucked with it at home before, like using like my phone up to my pickups, but I never like thought of like a real use for it. But yeah, all I did was just like loop it on certain phrases he said, and then use my looper to loop a quote, and then I would turn on a distortion pedal and loop it again until it got louder and louder.
Day
Copyright.
day 5.
Should we be-
Yeah, we all played drums together.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, drum circle.
Yeah, we just did some like tom and like
Some
rim
clicks.
stuff just for texture.
So we all played a drum together.
Yeah, but like
Yeah, that's what I
we
said.
kind of played a drum together. It was very lazy.
We played it.
Lazy. I mean,
Vocals went pretty easy too.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Quick.
I wasn't like as nervous as I don't think, but I know you were pretty like you were like I need to focus on them. You know?
I just wanted to have enough time. Like,
Yeah.
I just thought that they
But-
would take way longer, but the way Zach's
Yeah, my point-
flow was with that was crazy.
that
for
was my
sure.
point. Is like we expected to take way longer, but it actually went pretty damn quick.
I mean, only a couple hours and we had all the vocals done.
But yeah, We did those all the first night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like the one night we did vocals was all of them.
Yeah, that was like 3 hours. It only took 3 hours to do it. But I think in the end, like with when he gave us the board mixes and everything, and like what we've been listening to now for the last little bit, like everything overall sounds like it mixes together and nothing sounds too out of place, and that's awesome because he still has to go through and like actually mix it. So like to have something straight from the board that sounds as good as it does now is cool because you know that in the end it's going to sound even better than it does now.
Yeah.
Cameron did vocals for the first time.
Yep.
Hell yeah. It was all right. I ain't no singer, you know. I did them.
Yeah.
I gave it my all, and then I guess it turned out better than I thought it was gonna sound. But it's weird hearing your own voice for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Hearing also the mics that we used for vocals, like it's like way crisper and clearer, and being in like a real nice, like professionally like built like studio room, hearing like the vocals back with like I don't know how to describe it other than like there's a lot of like frequency loss depending on what mic you're using and stuff. So like hearing them really crisp and clear was also very strange for me because I'm not used to hearing my voice as it would be like spoken to me. I don't know. That's how it sounded, which is strange.
It's like sounds like you're like inside your throat.
Like in my demos, like you know, doing the vocals at home and writing them and stuff. Like I didn't sing them really any different than when we tracked them in the studio, but like the mic is just like very different. So like just inherently made my voice sound different, which is very strange to me.
He's able to adjust everything so like if you were singing a part softer, you can sing it exactly how you want to sing it. Where like when we did demos and things like that, I feel like we would have to.
That's also
like push harder and do things like that.
Well, we also recorded through like actual like compressors and preamps and stuff, which also helps. I will say, like having like listening to the record like be built from the ground up was like also really cool because like I said, you hear everything in a demo a certain way, and then once you hear the final product for the first time, it's like this weird like. I got kind of nervous wondering how good it's even gonna sound. Like day one, we're there. Like, oh god, I don't know how shit's gonna like sound.
It's like when the new iPhone comes out and you got like the fucking iPhone 9, and then you upgrade and you're like, oh, this shit just is way better.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it was kind of rewarding. Like the last day we were there, we listened to the whole thing straight through. It's nice when you finish the whole thing and you get to hear it and you're not disappointed.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Which not to say I've been disappointed with anything we've done. It's just like you're nervous the whole time, like how it's actually going to sound.
For sure, and I think in the past it's like we've never had the amount of time, you know, as we did this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you could spend weeks, you know, or I mean hours spending, you know, time on whatever it is.
Not to mention it being like a pro studio.
That's what I was gonna say. Everything just moved quicker because of that.
Yeah, we had the whole studio to ourselves for a week, which was awesome.
And you could just dedicate 8 hours and, you know, bust through everything. And everything was more cohesive, I think, because of that, because you didn't have to stop. And
yeah,
I will.
We were living there.
Yeah,
like upstairs, so we were just up and down.
Nice. Something really cool that did happen, I think that is worth mentioning, is when we were recording the song Steel Tracks Move the Trains, final take ended of drums, and then train rolled through as soon as Harley was done with the track. And we're going to leave it in there, but you can hear the train going off in the background as soon as he like did the final track like take of that song.
Yeah, the mics picked that up because it's so close to the studio.
So that's real. Don't doubt that. That's a real take.
First and foremost, Ben Kaplan from Lost
For
Future.
real. Shout out.
Found us because this dude posted us on Reddit.
Yeah.
You know, where credit is due.
Oh yeah.
And just it was kind of weird. We just hit us up, and then it was legit, and
It just took off.
yeah, very
Right.
glad that he found us and we were able to make it happen.
Very
For
lucky.
sure.
Shout out Lost Future Records for getting us over there. Shout out Us and Them Group, who's gonna market it after it's, you know, ready to be pushed. Shout out Matt Talbot, Zach Montez, Earth Analog, all those dudes for being awesome while
Shout
we were
out
there.
Jet's Pizza.
Jet's Pizza.
What was the
Pizza.
Chinese place we had?
I Walk.
Yeah,
Shout out
Iwok,
Iwok.
Culver's,
Culver's.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Mary Ann's.
Yeah,
Diner.
Mary Ann's.
Ann's Diner.
Marianne's
The
Diner.
American Football House.
Meatheads.
I didn't get to get
Meatheads.
meatheads. Oh, and obviously shout out to
Burgers.
Andrew.
Shout out
for
Andrew.
being there and listening,
Shout out
For
Andy.
sure.
filming.
Yeah,
So
real.
shout out for that.
Like we should take a second to talk about the RuneScape playing that happened, because these two fuckers grinded.
Oh yeah.
Who else do we want to
Shout out driving towards the sunset in your eyes.
The endless evening.
Who's that?
Shout out to the Erie Canal.
No, the Ohio Erie Canal.
Ohio Erie Canal.
The Erie Canal is different. Shout out David Lynch. The owls aren't what they seem.
Man.
Couldn't have said it better.